We are taught from childhood to be kind to everyone. It's a noble lesson, but today I challenge that idea. I stand before you to say, stop being kind to everyone. Kindness is often seen as a virtue, a quality that makes the world a better place. From a young age, we are told to be kind to everyone, to always help others, and to never turn our backs on those in need. While this message carries good intentions, it also comes with an important flaw. Kindness should be earned, not wasted. Blindly extending kindness to everyone, regardless of how they treat us, can lead to unnecessary suffering, exploitation, and emotional exhaustion. Instead, kindness should be given selectively, with the understanding that not everyone deserves the same level of care and consideration. When we constantly offer kindness to people who do not appreciate or respect it, we diminish its value. Imagine you have a priceless gift that you give to everyone you meet, even those who do nothing but take advantage of you. Over time, that gift loses its meaning. It no longer feels special because it is given away too easily. The same applies to kindness. If we are kind to everyone, even those who mistreat us, it stops being an act of genuine goodwill and becomes something expected, something taken for granted. Kindness should be treasured, not given away freely to those who fail to reciprocate it. Many people mistake kindness for weakness. They see someone who is always nice, always forgiving, and always willing to help, and they assume that person can be easily manipulated. How often have you heard stories of people who have been used because of their kindness? A friend who is always there to help but never gets the same support in return. A coworker who takes on extra responsibilities because others know they won't say no. A person in a relationship who keeps forgiving unacceptable behavior because they believe in being kind. In these situations, kindness is not respected, it is exploited. This is why it is crucial to recognize that kindness should be a privilege, not a right. Not everyone should have access to your kindness. One of the biggest misconceptions is that being kind means always saying yes, always being available, and always sacrificing your own needs for others. But true kindness does not mean self-destruction. It does not mean allowing yourself to be taken for granted. There is a difference between being kind and being a people pleaser. People pleasers feel obligated to be kind, even when it drains them, even when it hurts them. Genuine kindness, on the other hand, is intentional. It is given when it is deserved, when it is appreciated, and when it does not come at the cost of your own well-being. It is important to evaluate the people in our lives and how they respond to our kindness. Some people will appreciate it, respect it, and reciprocate it. These are the ones who truly deserve our kindness. But others will only take advantage of it, expecting more while giving nothing in return. These people do not deserve unlimited kindness. Instead of continuously giving without receiving, we should learn to set boundaries. Setting boundaries does not mean becoming cold or unkind. It means protecting our kindness and making sure it is given to those who truly appreciate it. Another reason kindness should be earned is that not everyone has good intentions. There are people who will use your kindness against you. They will pretend to need help, to be in distress, or to care about you, only to manipulate you into giving more than you should. This is especially true in relationships, workplaces, and friendships where one person takes advantage of another's good nature. In these cases, being kind to everyone only enables toxic behavior. It teaches people that they can continue taking from you without ever giving back. Instead of allowing this cycle to continue, we should recognize when our kindness is being misused and withdraw it from those who do not deserve it. There's also a difference between being polite and being overly kind. Basic human decency and respect should be given to everyone, but deep kindness that involves time, effort, and emotional energy, should be reserved for those who prove themselves worthy. There is nothing wrong with being selective about where you invest your kindness. In fact, it is necessary for maintaining emotional balance and self-respect. Not everyone deserves your energy, your effort, or your care. By choosing who to be kind to, you ensure that your kindness remains valuable and meaningful. Some may argue that kindness should always be given freely, regardless of how others respond. They believe that being kind is about personal character, not about how others treat us. While this perspective has some truth, it also ignores the reality that kindness without limits leads to exhaustion, disappointment, and in some cases, self-destruction. When we give kindness to those who do not deserve it, we take it away from those who do. We drain ourselves emotionally, leaving little energy for the people who truly value and respect our kindness. Kindness is not just about giving, it is about balance. It is about knowing when to be kind and when to walk away. It is about recognizing when your kindness is making a difference and when it is being wasted. It is about understanding that kindness should be earned, not freely given to those who do nothing to deserve it. When we protect our kindness, we make it more powerful. When we give it to those who appreciate it, we make it more meaningful. And when we stop being kind to everyone, we learn to be kinder to ourselves. Kindness is often seen as a virtue, something that should be given freely and without expectation. However, there is a harsh reality that many kind-hearted people eventually come to understand. Being too kind can lead to exploitation. The world is not always fair, and not everyone has good intentions. When you constantly extend kindness to everyone without discernment, you risk becoming a target for those who see your generosity as something to be used rather than appreciated. People who are overly kind often find themselves trapped in a cycle of giving, helping, and sacrificing, only to realize that they are being taken advantage of by those who never had any intention of giving back. One of the most common ways in which excessive kindness leads to exploitation is in relationships, whether friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional connections. There are people who seek out kind individuals because they know they can get what they want without much effort. These people manipulate kindness to their advantage, relying on the fact that kind people are less likely to say no, set boundaries, or demand fair treatment. They exploit this generosity by constantly asking for favors, expecting emotional support, or taking without ever reciprocating. The kind person, wanting to do good, continues to give, hoping that their kindness will be recognized and appreciated. Unfortunately, the reality is that the more you give without demanding respect, the less people value what you offer. At work, excessive kindness can lead to being overworked and undervalued. Many kind employees go the extra mile, help colleagues, and take on extra responsibilities simply because they don't want to disappoint anyone. Their bosses and co-workers see them as dependable, but instead of rewarding their efforts, they often take advantage of their willingness to help. They are given more tasks without additional compensation, expected to stay late while others leave on time, and rarely get the recognition they deserve. The workplace can be highly competitive, and people who are too kind often get left behind because they prioritize being helpful over standing up for themselves. In the end, they may find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and resentful, wondering why their kindness was never acknowledged or returned. Another area where excessive kindness leads to exploitation is within families. Family dynamics can be complex, and in many cases, the kindest family members become the ones who bear the most burdens. They are the ones who are always expected to help, whether it's taking care of relatives, handling family disputes, or making sacrifices for the well-being of others. Unfortunately, in some families, kindness is not seen as something to be appreciated, but rather as something to be taken for granted. The more you give, the more is expected of you. And before you know it, you are carrying the weight of responsibilities that others refuse to share. In these situations, kindness can become a trap, one that is difficult to escape because of emotional guilt and obligation. Being too kind also attracts toxic people who thrive on taking advantage of others. Manipulators, narcissists, and selfish individuals are skilled at identifying kind-hearted people because they know they can exploit their generosity. They play the victim, make constant demands, and guilt-trip kind individuals into doing things they don't want to do. They know that a kind person will struggle to say no, even when they are uncomfortable or exhausted. They create a one-sided relationship where the kind person gives endlessly while they take without remorse. Over time, this dynamic can erode self-esteem, leaving the kind person feeling drained and unappreciated. There is also a societal expectation that kind people should always be willing to help, forgive, and sacrifice, no matter the circumstances. If a kind person suddenly decides to set boundaries, they are often met with resistance. They are called selfish, ungrateful, or rude simply because they refuse to be taken advantage of any longer. This creates a dangerous mindset where people feel pressured to continue being excessively kind, even when it is damaging to their well-being. Society rewards kindness in words, but often exploits it in practice. This is why it is essential to recognize when kindness is being used against you and take action before it becomes a pattern that is difficult to break. The key to avoiding exploitation is learning to balance kindness with self-respect. Kindness should never come at the cost of your own well-being, and it should never be given to those who repeatedly take advantage of it. It is important to recognize the signs of exploitation early. When people consistently expect things from you but never offer anything in return, when your kindness is met with entitlement rather than gratitude, and when you feel drained rather than fulfilled. These are clear indicators that your kindness is being misused. Setting boundaries is the most effective way to protect yourself from being exploited. Saying no does not make you unkind, it makes you strong. It shows that while you are willing to be kind, you are not willing to be taken advantage of. Boundaries create a sense of self-worth and teach others that while you are compassionate, you are not someone who can be manipulated. The most successful and respected people in life are those who know when to give and when to hold back. They understand that kindness is valuable and they do not allow it to be wasted on those who do not deserve it. Ultimately, kindness is a beautiful quality, but it must be given wisely. Not everyone deserves your time, energy, or generosity. There is nothing wrong with being kind, but there is something wrong with allowing yourself to be exploited because of it. Be kind to those who respect and appreciate you, but do not hesitate to walk away from those who only seek to take advantage of your good nature. Protect your kindness, and you will find that it becomes even more meaningful when given to the right people. Kindness is a beautiful quality, but it becomes self-destructive when it is given without limits. Many people believe that being kind means always saying yes, always being available, and always putting others before themselves. However, this mindset can quickly lead to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. The truth is that kindness should not come at the cost of your own well-being. That is why setting boundaries is essential. Without boundaries, kindness can be abused, taken for granted, and used against you. Learning to say no and prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary for maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced life. People who are excessively kind often struggle with setting boundaries because they fear disappointing others. They worry that saying no will make them seem rude, unhelpful, or uncaring. However, constantly saying yes to everything does not make a person kind. It makes them vulnerable to being overworked and undervalued. In friendships, this can mean always being the one who listens, always being the one who makes sacrifices, and always being the one who supports others, even when the same support is not given in return. Over time, this imbalance creates frustration and emotional fatigue. If kindness is not met with mutual respect, it stops being an act of goodwill and turns into an obligation. In the workplace, employees who never set boundaries often find themselves overwhelmed with responsibilities that are not theirs to carry. Because they are seen as agreeable and accommodating, they become the ones who are constantly asked to stay late, take on extra projects, or fix other people's mistakes. Their kindness is not rewarded. Instead, it is expected. When they finally reach their breaking point and try to set boundaries, they may be met with surprise or even resistance. This is because they have unknowingly trained others to expect their unlimited kindness. This cycle is harmful, leading to stress, frustration, and even job dissatisfaction. If kindness is not paired with firm boundaries, it can easily turn into exploitation. In relationships, whether romantic or familial, failing to set boundaries can result in an unhealthy dynamic where one person gives endlessly while the other takes without consideration. Many people stay in toxic relationships because they believe that kindness means enduring mistreatment or always forgiving, no matter how they are treated. However, true kindness does not mean tolerating disrespect. If a person constantly disregards your feelings, takes advantage of your generosity, or expects you to always give while they do nothing in return, then they are not deserving of your kindness. Without boundaries, relationships become one-sided, leaving the kind person feeling unappreciated and drained. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they create distance or conflict. In reality, boundaries do the opposite. They create healthier and more respectful connections. When you set boundaries, you teach people how you want to be treated. You communicate your needs, your limits, and your expectations. People who genuinely care about you will respect those boundaries, while those who only wanted to take advantage of your kindness will reveal their true nature. Setting boundaries helps filter out those who were only in your life for their own benefit. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is recognizing that your time and energy are valuable. Many kind people put others' needs above their own, neglecting their own self-care and well-being. They give so much of themselves to others that they have nothing left for themselves. This leads to exhaustion, stress, and sometimes even physical health issues. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. If you are constantly drained from giving too much, you will not have the energy to take care of yourself or genuinely help those who truly deserve your kindness. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful ways to set boundaries. Many people struggle with this because they fear rejection, guilt, or conflict. However, saying no does not make you a bad person. It simply means you are choosing to protect your time, energy, and well-being. You do not owe anyone endless kindness, especially if it comes at the cost of your own happiness. Saying no allows you to focus on what truly matters and on the people who actually respect and appreciate you. There is also an emotional benefit to setting boundaries. When you establish limits, you gain a sense of control over your life. You no longer feel pressured to please everyone, and you develop more self-respect. You stop seeking validation from people who never valued you in the first place. You become more confident in prioritizing your own needs, which ultimately makes you a happier and stronger person. It is important to remember that setting boundaries does not mean being unkind or shutting people out completely. It simply means knowing when to give and when to hold back. It means recognizing that kindness should be a choice, not an obligation. True kindness is most powerful when it is given willingly and without resentment. When you set boundaries, you ensure that your kindness remains meaningful rather than becoming something that is taken for granted. At the end of the day, kindness should never be a reason for self-sacrifice. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot continue to give if you are mentally, emotionally, and physically drained. By setting boundaries, you protect your own well-being while also ensuring that your kindness is given to those who truly appreciate it. Respect yourself enough to say no when necessary. And remember that being kind does not mean allowing yourself to be used. Setting boundaries is not just about protecting yourself. It is about ensuring that your kindness remains valuable, appreciated, and respected. Kindness is a virtue, but too often, people misunderstand what it truly means. Many believe that being kind means always putting others first, sacrificing their own needs, and constantly giving without expecting anything in return. However, true kindness is not just about how you treat others, it is also about how you treat yourself. One of the most important lessons in life is realizing that kindness should begin with yourself. If you do not prioritize your own well-being, mental health, and happiness, then your kindness to others will eventually become a burden rather than a gift. People who are overly kind often neglect themselves in the process. They focus so much on making others happy that they forget to take care of their own emotional and physical well-being. They feel guilty for saying no, for setting boundaries, or for prioritizing their own needs. This mindset can be incredibly harmful, leading to exhaustion, stress, and even resentment. The truth is, kindness should never come at the cost of your own well-being. If you are constantly giving to others while neglecting yourself, then your kindness is not true kindness. It is self-sacrifice. One of the main reasons people struggle to be kind to themselves is because society often glorifies selflessness. We are taught that putting others first is a sign of a good person, while prioritizing ourselves is seen as selfish. However, there is a significant difference between being selfish and practicing self-care. Being selfish means disregarding others for your own gain, while self-care means taking the time to nurture yourself so that you can be your best self for both you and those around you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you do not take care of yourself first, you will eventually have nothing left to give. Another reason people fail to practice kindness toward themselves is because of guilt. Many kind-hearted individuals feel guilty when they choose to prioritize themselves over others. They believe that their time, energy, and emotions should always be available for those who need them. Everyone deserves the same kindness that they give to others, including themselves. Just as you would never tell a friend to neglect their well-being for someone else, you should not allow yourself to do the same. Being kind to yourself means recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It means understanding that you do not have to tolerate toxic relationships, accept mistreatment, or allow people to take advantage of you just because you want to be nice. Too often, kind people attract those who take without giving, who manipulate their generosity, and who expect them to always be available without appreciation. True self-kindness means walking away from people who drain you and surrounding yourself with those who uplift and support you. Another aspect of self-kindness is allowing yourself to rest and recharge. Many people feel pressured to always be productive, always be available, and always be doing something for others. However, rest is just as important as hard work. Taking breaks, setting aside time for yourself, and prioritizing your own needs are essential for maintaining a healthy and balanced life. If you constantly push yourself to be everything for everyone, you will eventually burn out. Being kind to yourself means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt, knowing that you deserve care just as much as anyone else. Self-kindness also involves the way you speak to yourself. Many people who are naturally kind to others struggle with negative self-talk. They criticize themselves harshly, hold themselves to impossible standards, and are quick to forgive others while being unforgiving toward themselves. This kind of inner dialogue is damaging and prevents true self-compassion. If you would not speak to a friend in a cruel or harsh manner, why do it to yourself? Learning to replace self-criticism with self-encouragement is a crucial part of being kind to yourself. Instead of focusing on your mistakes and flaws, acknowledge your strengths, celebrate your achievements, and remind yourself that you are doing your best. One of the most powerful things about self-kindness is that it actually makes your kindness toward others more meaningful. When you take care of yourself, you have more energy, patience, and compassion to offer. You are able to give freely without feeling resentful or drained. You are not being kind because you feel obligated to. You are being kind because you genuinely want to be. This shift in mindset makes all the difference in how your kindness is received. People can sense when kindness is given out of guilt or obligation versus when it comes from a place of genuine care and well-being. Being kind to yourself also means setting boundaries and saying no when necessary. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointing others. However, saying no does not make you a bad person. It simply means that you respect yourself enough to prioritize your own needs. True kindness does not mean always being available or always saying yes. It means knowing when to step back and take care of yourself first. The people who truly care about you will understand and respect your boundaries. Those who get upset or try to guilt trip you were only interested in taking from you, not in a balanced and healthy relationship. At its core, self-kindness is about recognizing that you are just as important as anyone else. It is about treating yourself with the same love, patience, and care that you so willingly give to others. It is not selfish to take care of yourself. It is necessary. The more you practice self-kindness, the more you will attract people who respect and appreciate you, rather than those who only seek to take advantage of your generosity. In the end, kindness should be a two-way street. It should be something that brings joy, fulfillment, and positivity into your life. But that can only happen when you learn to be kind to yourself first. Prioritize your well-being, set boundaries, and remind yourself that your kindness is valuable. When you do this, you will find that your kindness becomes even more powerful, not just for others, but for yourself as well.